Hi, welcome to the Marketing Update. I'm Karen Rubin.
And I'm Mike Volpe.
And we're coming to you today with news from the week of November 29th. We're going to be focusing on managing your brand. But first, if you want to tell us your thoughts or other topics you want to hear about, tweet us on Twitter at #MKTGUp for Marketing Update. And all the old shows are on iTunes. You can watch us. There are 223 previous episodes if you want to get the scoop.
Yeah.
So diving into the headlines.
Great.
First one is the acquisition of ICOA is a hoax. This happened earlier this week.
Yeah.
There was a spate of press releases on Monday announcing that this company ICOA got, I think it's ICOA, ICOA, it's all caps locks, I don't know if I say it or spell it, whatever. Anyway, they got acquired by Google for $400 million. And this made a little bit of sense because they do Wi-Fi hotspots in public areas like parks and airports, something Google's pretty excited about. Turns out, it's not true. They weren't acquired. Their CEO starts shouting, "This is a fake, we weren't acquired." And when you dig a little bit deeper into it, their market cap is less than $850,000, and they're saying they were acquired for $400 million. So the question from a branding perspective, if someone announces the acquisition of your company or something else really big happening in your company that's totally false, what do you do?
Well, and this seems like it was a pump and dump scam where somebody bought some of their stock and threw out this fake press release to try to get the stock to go up a little bit because it's a penny stock,
Yep.
So you can do some manipulation like that. In this particular case, I think all you can do is just very clearly proclaim to everyone that it's like completely false. And I think they did a good job. And I think the real issue here is that in the short cycle time of the media today, things like this can actually get out of control. I mean, there were some reputable blogs.
It was on TechCrunch. It was all over, Fox
reputable
News.
blogs that reported this without digging even like one layer deeper of even going to like this company's website or like anything, right? Or checking with Google directly or whatever. They just saw some random press release on some random website. And I think that the reason for that is that the news cycle is so fast right now. And so you need to be constantly monitoring what's being said about your company,
Google
so
alerts.
that you can Google alerts, social media technologies, things like that, to make sure that you know what's going on, and then respond very quickly when things like this happen, so they don't get like sort of pulled out of control.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So monitoring your company and responding quickly. The next story is about smashing your brand. This is something that Starbucks did. Brand guru Martin Lindstrom talks about smashing your brand to test the quality of your branding, to see if people resonate with it. So what Starbucks did is they've created a line of products. They worked with designers at Road Art, it's a fashion label apparently, to create a line of products that takes their logo, pixelates it, blows it up. And what's cool is if you look at it at first, if you think about it too much, you might not realize it's Starbucks, but then if you just do a quick looking back, it's very clearly the logo, but it doesn't look anything like the logo. Now, Mike, as our Chief Marketing Officer, you are so particular about our brand. If we use the wrong color orange, we get smacked on the wrist. I kid you not. So is this something that you do for HubSpot? Would you consider smashing your brand and making the logo unrecognizable?
Yeah, I mean, I think classically you wouldn't do things like this, but I think companies like Google, where they do sort of a different Google Doodle often almost every day now on their homepage. It's every day now. It wasn't for a long time. It was kind of just like big holidays and things like that, but it's become every day, where they're doing a different interpretation or logo on their homepage every day. I think it's becoming more of a way to sort of engage with people and keep the brand fresh, but at the same time sort of have some standards and has something to do with your logo. So we've even done some things like that, right? So remember Gaping Void, we had him on the show a long time ago, right? He has done these drawings, these interpretations of our logo and our sprocket, and they're hand drawn, and they're you can tell that it's a HubSpot logo, but it's very different. We've done some things like that. We've done other things. We've kind of been a little bit playful about the design of it on a few t-shirts and things like that. So yeah, we've done some things like that, and I think it's cool. Do
you think you have to get to a certain point with your brand and logo so that it's recognizable enough for people before you start trying these things?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably. I think that if it's a logo no one's heard of and then you interpret it, they don't know if it's an interpretation or it's the original, right? So yeah, I think at a certain point, at least within your target audience. I mean, certainly HubSpot's not a globally known consumer brand, but among marketers, I think it's well known enough that we can start to play with it a little bit now. But we didn't do that at all for the first few years.
Right? Would you change the color orange in playing with it or no?
Actually, the color orange has actually morphed a little bit over time.
It's changed?
It's morphed. When it changed.
I remember debates in the early days. There's a big paint card, and Brian was going, it's this color, and Mike was saying, it's this color.
I don't think Brian actually cared. I think it was Dharmesh.
All right,
Dharmesh
that
and I.
makes
Yeah.
sense. All right, next story. Nerdbird Cyber Monday deal. Virgin, they've got their Nerdbird. It's the plane that flies all the geeks from Boston to Austin or Boston to Vegas or wherever it's going.
Yeah, I think it's from South by Southwest.
Right.
And I actually thought the Nerdbird was originally JetBlue, but Virgin America named their plane the Nerdbird.
That's right.
But what they're doing here, it's more for CES, so it's a little bit
It's more for
different.
CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas in January. And for their Cyber Monday deal, they partnered with Gilt Group, is that what it is, or Gilt Club? Gilt City, and they allow you to basically buy the plane for the day to fly, charter it, send your 135 closest friends with you down to CES, and put your logo on the side of the plane. It ended up getting sold for $49,000. Not cheap, but for 135 people to go to, might not be a bad deal. My question from a branding perspective, getting your logo on the side of the plane, would you do this or no? Like, where does this fall in the good ways to spend your money or silly ways?
I mean, so ignoring the value of transporting a certain number of people from point A to point B, just like purely sort of the buzz aspect of this, I don't know that the logo on the side of the plane really matters that much, but I think that what's interesting here is this was written up at a bunch of places. So like, Virgin and Gilt both got a bunch of play out of this as an event. If you could work with them in some way to make the fact that you purchase it for your company into an event and into a PR opportunity, then I think it might be worth it. And 49 grand is actually not that much in the scheme of many marketing budgets. So if you could turn the actual event of the flight into something that has something to do with your company, then that might be interesting. But if it's just merely like, we got to put the logo on there for the flight over and back, I don't know that that's really going to matter very much.
Interestingly enough, Gilt and Virgin got a lot of buzz out of this, but the person who bought it remains nameless in the articles that I was reading.
Right.
So they haven't taken it to that next level.
So they haven't gotten there, and maybe they're planning on something bigger. I don't know, but it's So it seems like it might not have been worth it as much.
Taking it one step further, how do you feel about wrapping cars? Is that an inbound marketing technique or an outbound marketing technique?
Yeah, it's funny. I took some flack for writing a humorous article on our blog, and one of the things I said we weren't going to spend our new $35 million that we just raised was something like doing car wraps of like 20,000 cars or whatever 35 million buys you in the equivalent units of car wrapping. I wanted to help one of our customers out, so I actually linked to the pricing page of one of our customers' websites that does car wraps. There's a bunch of comments there and some people, and I think everyone understood the article was in a humorous tone.
I actually wasn't even going that direction.
You weren't? Oh, okay.
I was talking about how
I know. Well, so I'm getting there. I'm
going too fast.
But we have actually got to the point where we're about to. And we talked about this a long time ago, we just never actually did it. But we're actually about to do a car wrap of Brian Halligan, our CEO's car. I just think it'd be interesting to see him drive around Boston. And it's just weird.
I think it's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd do it to my car, but I'm not the CEO of the company.
I wouldn't do it to my car. And my car is 10 years older than his car.
Right, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's all good stuff. Interesting stories about what you can do with your brand in different ways.
Yeah.
What are you up to this weekend?
I don't know.
Nothing?
I thought we weren't talking about this anymore on the show.
I'm making an apple pie for my mother-in-law because it's her birthday.
There you go. I'm packing for Paris because I'm heading to Le Web and I'll be speaking there next week.
Your life is hard.
I know.
All right, folks, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Bye.